The lifestyles of the rich and famous come with all sorts of benefits and create a huge range of emotions in onlookers, from admiration and inspiration to envy and desire to do harm. As a result, when it comes to personal security, no expense can be spared for the ultra-famous elite of the world. You'd have to be crazy to even consider messing with any of these celebrity bodyguards. Let's get it on! Floyd Mayweather. While you might think that the 50-0 boxing world champion Floyd Money Mayweather wouldn't need much in the way of personal protection, if your job were punching people, you probably wouldn't want to have to worry about doing it in your off time. And with a nickname as blatant as Money, not much subtlety there. Mayweather can outsource his private security to the absolute best of them. Following his heavily hyped bout with Conor McGregor, Mayweather was reported to have earned an insane $280 million. Wonder what it takes to be considered tough enough to guard the undisputed toughest boxer on the planet? How about an average height of 7 feet among members of the Money Team, the name for Mayweather's personal entourage, making Mayweather himself look puny in comparison to the behemoths that go along on his impromptu shopping trips to pick out $520,000 watches. It would be totally understandable to think the enormous bodyguards are the actual star fighters when Mayweather's posse comes strutting down the red carpet. Still, just because he's hiring the biggest, baddest bodyguards money can buy, it's unlikely that given his world record title and reputation that anyone would be crazy enough to mess with Mayweather on his own, so the guards might just be another element of his extravagant displays of wealth. 6ix9ine. Controversial rapper 6ix9ine's career has been wrought with worry that the gang member turned musician would definitely be hurt, or much worse after he famously told the FBI about illegal activities he'd been involved in as part of a deal for less jail time. At the time of this video, the rapper is yet to meet such a cruel fate, which just goes to show how top of the line his squad of bodyguards truly is. 6ix9ine spends an almost unthinkable amount on security, with just a 10-day trip to LA recently racking up $98,000 worth of bodyguard costs for the rapper. When being released from federal prison, he hired the former head of Floyd Mayweather's security team, who stated 6ix9ine's security would cost millions in just the first year following the trial where he cooperated with the feds. While he may have to live in constant fear for his life and spend such a crazy amount on security, at least he's a free man who can afford the absolute toughest bodyguards around, rather than locked in prison dealing with a completely different type of guard with no guarantee of safety. Justin Bieber. If you remember the Belieber phenomenon from the early 2010s, you'll never question why Justin Bieber needs the absolute best security possible. For the uninitiated, Justin Bieber has historically had some of the most vicious, obsessive, and crazed teenage fans of anyone on the planet, and so much as going outside was a complete impossibility for the Canadian pop star for most of his early life. With hordes of obsessive fans tracking his every move, Justin has had top-notch personal security from at least the age of 13. Early on, Justin simply enlisted a big friend of his to scare off fanatics, but it didn't take long for him to realize he had to seriously up his game. The former Miami police officer Michael Arana took on the job of heading Bieber's security in 2012 and has kept the waves of fans at bay since. You could imagine that a life that crazy could lead to some spoiled behaviors, like when Justin made his bodyguards carry him all the way up the Great Wall of China in 2013. While Justin has adapted better over time, Mikey has stuck with him through it all, dedicating his life to making sure Justin doesn't even have to think about his security anymore. The Bieber team is so legendary in the world of bodyguarding that a documentary was actually made about them, detailing how perfect of an example Mikey creates for the bodyguards of stars, world leaders, and celebrities the world over. Drake. Rappers are basically synonymous with late-night brawls, massive posses of tough guys, and unsolicited haters. When you're the highest-selling rap artist in the world, these antics can get blown seriously out of proportion, so with status as legendary as Aubrey Drake Graham's, the absolute best bodyguards aren't a luxury, they're a necessity. Drake's career has been filled with more beef than McDonald's, with the news cycle surrounding him mentioning brawls with rappers like Chris Brown almost as often as it does new albums. It shouldn't come as any surprise that the biggest rapper in the game is always accompanied by a posse of guards that would make even Kim Jong-un jealous. Drake's regularly seen surrounded by groups of between 15 to 20 massive bodyguards, whether he's out at a nightclub or just driving through the six with his woes. While you'd think the boastful rapper would love any and all press coverage, footage of his nights out is actually made rare by the simple but genius tactic of his security guards shining flashlights back at the paparazzi. You know, the people always flashing lights into other people's faces to obscure shots of the Toronto native. effective. Of course, Drake's greatest haters wouldn't be dissuaded by just a few flashlights, but then again, his bodyguards wouldn't be the best if that was the only trick up their sleeve. Drake's entourage has been known to go so far as to block traffic in busy streets to let Drake's car pass, even shouting at random drivers just trying to get to work. The guards have also been reported to have had several violent run-ins with people getting a little too close for comfort, but when you've got a guy this big telling you to stay back, it's your own fault if you don't listen. Conor McGregor. As we stated, even the greatest fighters don't want to be bare-knuckle brawling with anyone who messes with them on the street. That's why the MMA legend Conor McGregor delegates dealing with his ever-amassing hordes of admirers to guys he thinks are tough enough to handle the job. After Conor received a series of serious death threats, he enlisted 24/7 personal security to watch over him and his family at all times, which allows the fighter to stay his cheerful, outgoing self, while the guards deal with anyone dumb enough to try messing with the Irish cage fighter. They enter any building ahead of him to plan his route anytime he's in public, then form an impressive physical barrier around him once he's there in person. Conor's team is made up of some of not just the biggest but also the smartest bodyguards around, with every trip he takes planned down to the T so that the famous fighter never has to deal with hounding reporters for too long, always advising Conor on how to best deal with the public in real time. Still, when a devoted fan wants a photo, even these tough guys will take a moment of their time to oblige. After all, where would Conor be without his fans? Cristiano Ronaldo. Whether you follow soccer or not, Cristiano Ronaldo is a name most people are sure to know. The Portuguese football phenom is one of the most famous faces on the entire planet, with fans in hundreds of countries looking up to him. As a result, there's no place Ronaldo can go where his security can take a break. Cristiano's personal security is among the most elaborate and serious of anyone's on earth, seriously rivaling that of world leaders, as they're less likely to be swarmed by masses of adoring fans than him. While traveling, Ronaldo's soccer team is always surveyed by a team of at least 40 full-time bodyguards, the majority of whom are watching out for Ronaldo himself. In one incredible incident, a fan just wanting to take a selfie with Ronaldo ran up to the soccer player as he entered a Spanish hotel, only to be absolutely destroyed by a whole squad of bodyguards, leaving Cristiano walking along, carefree as if a man hadn't just been wiped from existence a few inches from him. It would make sense that someone with athletic skills like Cristiano would want to run with similar professionals, so the head of his personal security team is actually a fellow Portuguese star athlete. Goncalo Salgado, a Portuguese MMA star, has headed Ronaldo's team for years and accompanies the star everywhere he goes. Probably better to get paid to knock other people out than to get knocked out yourself. Beyoncé. Half of one of the most powerful couples in the world of entertainment, Beyoncé is an international superstar without many peers. Alongside her husband, Jay-Z, the couple is worth in excess of $1 billion and adored by fans from the worlds of music, dance, art, and fashion. With such illustrious status, it's obvious that Beyoncé won't go anywhere without a serious security detail. Headed by one of the most sought-after professional bodyguards in the business, Julius DeBoer, Beyoncé's security manages her truly worldwide career with insanely detailed skill. With both paparazzi and fans swarming around every corner, the hulking Julius and his team make sure Beyoncé's life can be as carefree as she wishes. With over $1 billion empire to protect, cost is no object in making sure that from sold-out stadiums to daily errands, Beyoncé and her family are never without their escort keeping a close eye on them. Anyone thinking of trying to rob or attack this star only needs to take one look at Julius to know that that would be an absolutely terrible idea.